All right, gang, this is a good one. This is 5 tips to be a great leader in West Coast swing. And this is how we did this video. I gave Megan a piece of paper. I said, you write down your 5 tips. I wrote down my 5 tips. We called them together. We agreed on some. We expanded on some ideas. This is what we came up with. First of all, this is Miss Megan, and I am
Brian B.
All right, cool. So things that we agreed upon right from the jump were to know your footwork. Megan actually said know your patterns, know your footwork. So you must know the footwork to all of your basic patterns, pushes, passes, and whips, right? And more importantly, to know your footwork, I'll say this from the leader's standpoint, you want to do this. If you watch real carefully, I'm going to lead a whip. We have a 1, 2, 3, and 4, a 5, 6, 7, and 8. And if you rewatch that, you'll see I did it on the wrong footwork. So to know your patterns knows the rules of the patterns, right? Some basic rules you can use that will help your leading. Leaders, I need to stay ahead for the first 2 counts of most of my patterns. Passes, I'm ahead, she goes past. Even a whip, I don't want Megan to get past me on the first 2 beats. So, as a good leader, I'm gonna make sure that Megan does not pass me. If I find her taking big steps, let's say she takes honking big steps, the first time she gets past me, then I'm going to adjust, and I'm going to adjust my steps. That's a lot of work for Megan, very easy for me, right? So things you can think about, stay ahead for 2 counts. I want to establish a little bit of connection before the anchor step. So what I mean by that is 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the count before the anchor. That's count 4 in your 6 count patterns. I want to start to think about that connection. We're going to talk about connection here in a little bit, but before we get there, Megan says to stay on
time.
On time. So you want to expand upon that real quick?
Yes, so leaders, you have the harder job. I'm going to say that from a follower's point of view.
As we put this list together.
You have to do your patterns, your footwork. You have to lead us and preferably stay on time. So you want to make sure that you are clear on your 2,
3, and 4, 5, and 6.
6 and 8s.
So that's a good way to think about it. 2, 4, 6, and 8, I want to be on those beats and clear. That's going to make, before we expand and do styling and all that stuff, 2, 4, 6, and 8. If you struggle with this, I want to count West Coast swing in 2-beat increments. 1, 2, 1, and 2, 1, and 2. 1, 2, 1, and 2, 1, 2. Doesn't matter how complicated it gets. 1, 2, 1, and 2, and 1, 2, 1, and 2, 1, and 2.
Knowing your patterns is very important to do before you learn how to be on time.
For sure. So knowing your patterns, knowing where you are at 2, 4, 6, and 8 will help you be on time. Then we can worry about Megan's favorite thing, which is to
connect.
So there's 3 different connections you want to master. 2 are super important. 1 you're going to see it a little less often, but number 1 is we know the connection away. So some things to think about in connecting away. I'm going to let Megan talk about this a little bit because you have a good description.
Yes, so you want to make sure that your your elbow is down and not completely given to your partner. Leaders, I find that you do this more than followers do. Maybe
I
you have a
disagree.
maybe we all do it, I don't know. The other thing is that you want to make sure that you are connected to yourself. So you want to connect to your core. So you want to make sure that these muscles, sorry, I'm going to tickle you probably, are a little bit connected and tenser than just being loosey-goosey.
Yep, and so that I'm not hunkered down on that and then my body moves by itself, that there's some connection of my body to my partner, right? So that's a way connection. One way you can practice that is just walk slowly rolling through your feet. I have a theory that a lot of connection, once my arm is in order, comes through measuring my footwork.
Yes.
Then we can go into connection number 2, which is forward, right? We know all this one. And it's the same thing. We can create a little bit of a pitch forward with our hips. We can create a little bit with our top. Just some sort of connection forward. You can practice this the same way by walking slowly and maintain that. If you see if I have the wrong poise to my body, I'm going to come out of that connection. Did you want to expand on that?
I'm going to mention one thing. The speed of your song is going to change your connection. I have a student that really likes to be rather loose in general and does not understand that the faster the song gets, your connection needs to be a bit tighter.
Yep, I would agree. which leads to our, so we have a forward and away connection. There's another one that we started using in our dancing a while back, and that's a rotational connection. So if I'm rotating Megan, I'm connecting rotationally and rotationally. And you actually learned this in beginner class. You might not have learned it, but in a prep of a turn, it's a rotational connection. So Megan has prepped forward and the connection has rotated, and I'm pulling that back through, right? We also use it in higher level moves where she's rotating away before she comes back in. So there's a rotational connection at a higher level when you get to, you know, more advanced moves. I think I did this, right? If I do this and I pop Megan out, I'm asking her to rotate, so she's rotating into that connection and rotating out. You can even see my lead has a rotation. It's not just that I'm letting her go out and forward. I'm allowing her to rotate, and I'm stepping her on, and I'm rotating that back in. So from a higher level, there's your third level of connection. We both agree on that. I put all by myself, learn your leads, and we talked about this a little bit before. The core of what I'm supposed to do in the pattern, right? So do I know exactly what I need to do a whip? I need to lead her forward using that connection and then turn her back, right? I don't care, and she doesn't care if you're on the wrong foot. Watch this. If I do this on the follower's footwork, but I lead her, the rules are the same. Now, normally I'd step across on the right foot, but I just need to be connected to Megan. That's hard to do on the wrong footwork because I understand the rules of the game. Like we said before, leaders, staying ahead for 2 beats. I'm monitoring my partner. If she takes honking big steps on a right side pass, I'm just gonna know that I need to stay ahead, and I'll take bigger steps and adjust for her until she gets a little bit better, so I understand my leads. Then Megan says to know your follower. What do you mean by that? Because I agree.
So knowing your follower or knowing your partner this goes both ways. If you have an older partner or one that might have a shoulder problem or
doesn't spin well, or
well,
doesn't know higher level patterns, is
a beginner, and you're trying to do all these things,
this is how I think about it.
Not always the best.
As a leader, this is exactly what I do. I go right side pass. Okay, no honking big footwork. Cool. Can she follow a reverse turn? Okay, she can follow the reverse turn. So now I know I can lead the right side pass because my follower is comfortable with it. The hand comes down so I can turn in without too much fuss. And then when I lead this cool version of a reverse whip, I don't have to worry about doing it from the jump. So I build my patterns, and this is going to come into the next thing, is that I build my patterns. This is our last point we agree on. I said build your patterns, and Megan said level your patterns. So what that means is I don't jump right to, hey, I learned this new cool move, right, on a video. I want to establish a couple of things. I want to go, does Megan spin well? Got it. Can she follow a reverse whip? Okay, got it. Then I do a couple of other patterns, and then I go, okay, can she follow this reverse whip with a cross hand hold? Call this the decapitative whip, okay? And she spins out. Okay, now I can choose to do my coolest version, and I'll do this. It might take me like 30 seconds to get there in a dance. Now I know that she's gonna spin well, she's comfortable with that move, so when I lead my cool kid move, I know that the spin is gonna work well for her. I know she's comfortable with the pattern I'm dancing, so Megan says level your patterns or build your patterns, and this all goes back to knowing your follower, knowing who's at the end of your hand, understanding the song. Are we both on time?
If they seem uncomfortable with something you're doing, maybe don't try it again, like a lot of drops and stuff like that. If they don't really like it, maybe don't do it.
Yep, here's another rule. I will lead a pattern for sure twice, right? If it doesn't go well the first time, I'll lead it a second time. The third time, I'm knowing my partner, right? If I feel like it's gonna confuse her or give her a bad feeling or she's gonna feel bad like she can't follow, I'll just do 2 and stop. But maybe I try something and it doesn't work, right? And I try it again, and then I get that look and I go, hey, let me try one more time. Let me try this. I'm gonna use what I learned in the video. Okay, so I would agree to maybe lead it a third time. If it doesn't work after that, I don't want to just keep grinding her through it. So cover this again from the top. Know your footwork, know your basic patterns, be on time, learn your 3 connections, learn your leads or the rules within the basic patterns, understand who you're dancing with, and then level the patterns up appropriately. And then the final tip is to go to westcoastswingonline.com, enter your email address in the first page so you can get some free tips. We send out a move of the week every week on Tuesdays, 2 o'clock Eastern time. You can email us directly from there. We'll see you guys on the dance floor here soon.